Entrepreneurship is about resilience and continuing on with your vision despite all of the hurdles in your way. If you find yourself doubting yourself, going off track, or getting overly emotional or attached to outcomes, I'm gonna help you stop doing that so that you can rock your business even when the current's rough. I'm gonna share 5 mindset hacks that I use that will make sure that you never do that again. Hey friends, welcome back to another video. I'm Rebecca and this is Bernie, and I am half of Pivot and Pilot Creative. We build and launch iconic brands that dominate the retail space and the online space. I have the best advice for people in business. Get your ass up and do the work. It seems like no one's willing to do the work these days.
That's so true.
You have to surround.
I'm just kidding. Kudos to Kim for being so bold. I agree with the sentiment to a certain extent. What I'm gonna share is actually what you need to do to get to work. My first mindset hack is to make action-focused goals over outcome-focused goals. One of the most upsetting things to me when it comes to feeling stuck is when you can't just check things off. There are definitely days where you're just working on something all day, every day, but nothing's finished. And you can't check it off and feel that kind of aha, I'm taking a step forward. If you're not just checking something off, it can make you feel like giving up. It really helps to break a goal down into actions so that you can get an outcome. Let's say you wanted to gain 10,000 subscribers. That is an outcome-focused goal, and you can't really control outcomes, but you can control your actions. It's better to focus on actions and say, I'm going to film 1 video every single week. That way, every week, you are checking off that you are taking a step towards that goal. Tokyo wasn't built in a day. Everything takes steps to accomplish something. You can't always control the outcome of a situation, but you can control your actions. My next mindset hack is a guilt hack. We live in a very hustle culture kind of time. There's a lot of pressure. Sure, self-discipline is totally a thing, but it's important not to make yourself feel guilty for not being at 100% productivity all the time. We have definitions for good behavior and bad behavior, and we have a kind of skewed version of what is productive. We define productivity as active work, time that we're working directly on our emails or our big presentation. And then on the other side, we deem things like sleeping in or having a friend's night in as kind of unproductive and bad. This is something that kind of a toxic mentality in this entrepreneur hustle culture. And we put people like Steve Jobs, for example, on a pedestal because we say, hey, look how successful he was. But you know what? Steve Jobs on his deathbed said that his biggest regret was that he didn't spend enough time with his family. There is this kind of toxic version of success that we put on a pedestal as a society, and I'd like to hack our brains a little bit to think differently. My goal in this is for you to eliminate the feeling of guilt in your mind. If you do intend to wake up and get a whole presentation done, nail out a few big contract deals, make a few sales, but instead you sleep in because you're feeling really drained, I'd really advise you to not feel extremely guilty for that choice. The reason why is because that throws off your whole day, and it can really put you into a victim mindset where you just kind of throw the whole rest of the day away. Instead, I'd like you to tweak that thought to think of, okay, I slept in, now I have energy that I need to do something that I need to get done today. Or maybe today you're gonna spend time socializing, you're gonna spend time with your family, or your dogs. There's nothing wrong with that either. And you know what? I'd like you to think of that as something productive. Having great, strong relationships and the ability to have a family and retain great friendships, or even the ability to sleep in and practice self-care, those are all things that are gonna contribute to the end goal that you have in mind. Reaming yourself for doing something wrong and constantly living in the past is not gonna help you move forward. My next mindset hack is to fall in love with failure. I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, Rebecca, we actually don't want to fail. We want to succeed. That's why we're watching this video. And I get it. I know it sounds weird. You really have to embrace failure in order to succeed. I want you to understand that nothing will ever go perfectly, ever. There's always going to be a shit show to clean up. okay? The sooner that you can recognize to learn from a mistake or an adversity, the faster you will accomplish your goals. Super mindset coach Mel Robbins, I totally love her. She's a motivational speaker. Actually, Kim Kardashian should probably hire her. She brought up a good point, and she said you fell an average of 17 times before you learned to walk as a baby. That's just the facts. And so you literally learn to walk by falling. When you fail, it means that you're trying. And when you fail, you gain knowledge and experience that you can then apply to the next time you try. It's much better to continue to do things and take risks and be excited about failing, because you will learn faster at the end of the day than if you stand there and you're scared to make a move. A baseball player who hits the ball 30% of the time is considered a Hall of Famer. Don't be afraid to strike out. My dad's also an entrepreneur, and he always told me that you'll always have another bat, and that it's always better to go down swinging. At the end of the day, when you go to bed at night, you are gonna feel so much more proud of yourself for trying and failing than if you don't try something new and you stay in the same place. My fourth mindset hack is to zoom out. We get so caught up in the day-to-day and the minute details that we zoom in, and it can feel like a lot of overwhelm. It's important to take a minute every once in a while to acknowledge your progress, look to your why, look to your vision, take yourself out of what's overwhelming you so that you're not feeling super emotional overwhelm, but instead seeing something almost from like a third-party perspective. I have an adorable golden doodle and a Yorkie, and a really, really cute Yorkie, of course. You're the best, Bernie. This doesn't have to be dogs. It could be a hobby that you have to help you focus on something that isn't just directly in your business and see the bigger picture. My last mindset hack is to not take things personally. You're responsible for so much as an entrepreneur, and it can get really overwhelming, and you can start to feel really isolated. When bad things happen, it can be really tempting to point the blame somewhere and take things personally. I beg of you, don't waste time blaming society or others for what's happening and letting yourself fall into a victim mindset. I'm guilty of this too. Life is absolutely unfair, and things can get really, really tough. I was really frustrated by an experience where I felt like the entrepreneur was kind of rude and wasn't taking me seriously because I was a woman. I stayed in this mindset, bitter, for weeks. Sure, my feelings were valid, and he wasn't a great guy. Instead of focusing on how I could improve my pitch or do a better job at like qualifying my leads, I fell into a victim mindset, ultimately set me back from improving. Once I got out of that, I learned to pitch better, and I thought more about how I could have dealt with the situation better, and ultimately that's made my skill set stronger, and it helped me keep looking forward. I talk about this more on our podcast, Two Peas in a Pod, where I interview Ada Slavinsky, and we get deep into the hashtag #GirlBossLive. Check it out if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.